following scenario is to be considered. A man is in a room, metal doors locked behind him, strapped to a chair. His last breaths of fresh air weaken. Underneath him, a hidden lever opens, and cyanide pellets fall into a vat of sulfuric acid. Within seconds, a lethal gas starts to rise. His chest tightens, his eyes burn, his muscles spasm, but death does not arrive quickly. This is the gas chamber, a scientific, modern replacement for what existed previously, they believed. But what really took place behind those huge steel doors? And why did America ultimately abandon it? Join me as we reveal the dark history of America's gas chamber executions. America looked for a new way of delivering the death penalty in the early 20th century. Hanging was horrific, unreliable, and generally thought to be outmoded. The electric chair, designed in 1890, was intended to be an improvement, but horrific malfunctions, where the prisoners burned or were shocked repeatedly before they perished, made electrocution much less than perfect. Then the question became, could science render the death penalty actually humane? Enter the gas chamber. Inspired by poison gas experimentation during World War II, the process was designed as clinical, almost anesthesia. The idea was simple. The condemned would be led into an airtight, sealed chamber. Lethal gas, most commonly hydrogen cyanide, would be pumped into it. The victim would inhale it, lose consciousness, and be dead in minutes. But the past, short as it would prove to be, had other very different plans. The first U.S. gas chamber execution took place on February 8, 1924, in Nevada. The inmate was Gee Jon, a Chinese-American killer. Nevada viewed this as a chance to be the first state to use poison gas as an instrument of death. Officials had originally wanted to pump cyanide gas into Gee Jon's cell while he slept, but that was not possible. They built the first sealed gas chamber instead. The execution began at 9:40 a.m. Gee Jon was tied to a chair as pellets of cyanide were released into a vat of sulfuric acid. The gas spread and made him choke, gasp, and convulse violently. Rather than an instant, sanitary death that officials had bragged about, though, he struggled for about 10 minutes before he passed away. It was not a sanitary, humane way of killing that they had bragged about. Other states, nevertheless, took heed. By the 1930s, gas chambers were already operational in Arizona, California, Missouri, and several other states. There was a snag, however. Gas chamber executions never did work properly. Most condemned men did not immediately die. Instead, they struggled, coughed, and choked for periods of up to 18 minutes. Other convicts foamed at the mouth, while others attempted to struggle their restraints loose when the poison flowed through their veins. One of the most horrific was the 1992 killing of Don Harding in Arizona. He gasped, coughed, and struggled violently as the gas filled the chamber, witnesses said. His fists were clenched, and his head thrashed from side to side. It took nearly 10 minutes for him to die. Even the witnesses, reporters, state officials, and relatives of the condemned were appalled. One Arizona attorney who witnessed an execution that day later said, "I had never seen anything so inhumane in my life," and Harding was no different. Numerous executions through the years followed the same grisly path, so why did the states continue to use it? By the end of the 20th century, the gas chamber went out of style. There were two main reasons why it fell apart. One, public outrage. Once the botched executions came to center stage, the majority of Americans no longer accepted the gas chamber. Even death penalty supporters could not stomach the agony that was involved. Two, legal complaints. Attorneys argued that gas chamber executions were a breach of the Eighth Amendment, banning cruel and unusual punishment. The case that put gas executions out of business? Fierro versus Gomez, 1994. The court ruled California's gas chamber was constitutionally cruel, calling it intolerable physical agony. This established the precedent that other states also should stop carrying out gas executions. By the early 2000s, lethal injection had essentially replaced the gas chamber. Today, few American states even allow gas chamber executions, and most of them haven't carried one out in decades. But here is the surprise twist. They might well be staging a quiet revival. You'd think the gas chamber was a relic of the past, but in recent years, states like Arizona, Mississippi, and Alabama have been considering it again. Why? Because lethal injection is failing. Drug shortages. Many pharmaceutical companies refuse to supply execution drugs. Botched lethal injections. Some prisoners have suffered for over an hour as drugs failed to work properly. Consequently, there are states resurrecting their old gas chambers, but with a new twist. Rather than cyanide, some states are using nitrogen gas, which they assure us will be painless. Ring a bell. We've heard this before. The gas chamber was touted as the humane alternative to capital punishment. Instead, it proved to be one of the most inhumane procedures ever conceived. So here we are, almost a century later, arguing over the same topic. Does there even really exist a humane method of executing someone? Or is a clean killing a mere myth? What do you think? Can the gas chamber be consigned to the history books? Or can it find a place in the future of capital punishment? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this walk down memory lane, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. We've got plenty more dark and intriguing stories up our sleeve for you in the near future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.